Alright, what is up, my friends? Welcome to part 4 of our Ikoria Lair of Behemoths complete set review. Every single card. That's right, every single card. I want to remind y'all that the stream and content is brought to you by Cardboard Live. If you're a content creator, please get involved with Cardboard Live. Email James, get in the beta. Cardboard Live is the bomb. Alright, also remind everyone that this coming Wednesday is the early access stream. That's right. Like I do every new set, I do my 10 new brews for the early access stream, 10 new brews. I'll be streaming all day on Wednesday, April 15th. And of course, those brews will all go up on YouTube over the few days following that. And my article on coolstuffinc.com will be all about the decks as well. That's going to be next Friday. So next week, Wednesday and Friday, check it out. The early access stream, 10 new brews with Ikoria. I can't wait. I can't wait. Let's go. It's time for red. We've done white and black and blue, not in that order, white, blue, black. And red is next on the Wooberg scale. Let's go. All the cards, starting with Blazing Volley. Little reprint here. Fringe sideboard card for both constructed and limited. Don't overlook this card. Honestly, don't ever overlook any card that costs 1 mana as being playable, because 1 mana is really, really cheap. But yeah, definitely a sideboard card in both formats. Not much to really say about that one. Blisterspitgrim. 1 mana for a 1/1. It taps to deal 1 damage to each opponent. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it untaps. So, kind of similar to Thermo Alchemist. The 0/3, it does the same thing but costs 2. However, activating or having a 1 mana activation cost on the ability is a pretty big downside. This means it adds a kicker of 1 to all of your spells to deal 1 extra damage. That's not really great. And the body's not really great either. Not really too huge in this one. It's not a bad mutate target. Because if you mutate onto this, it's like a 4/4 or whatever, attack with it, cast a spell and untap it, that's pretty cool. So it's definitely a reasonable mutation card. I'm sure there's some combos too. Maybe you can mutate like a mana creature on it or whatever, make some mana. But yeah, this card feels pretty fringe to me. Not really super exciting. Talking about a goblin. What the hell, you know? What the hell? Blitz of a Thunder Raptor. Now this card I'm pretty excited about. This is a kind of fringe card, but Izzet decks have long struggled with large creatures. You know, if your creature has 5 toughness, any sort of spell-based Izzet deck just has a conniption, because all their cards are lightning bolts and lava coils and whatever. And killing larger creatures has always been a problem for Izzet decks, to the point where they've played cards like Harvest Pyre, because there just wasn't a better card to kill large things. This is one of the better effects, or better cards for that effect. This can kill large planeswalkers and creatures. It does ask that you don't use your graveyard, so you don't delve or things like that. But if you're playing a blue-red spells deck, you know, ops and burn spells and prowess stuff, and you got to kill a 5/5, this is the card for you. This is definitely the card for you. Definitely a cool card for that particular purpose. And I'm sure this card's pretty good and limited too. So next card is Cathartic Reunion. It's back, and definitely a reasonable card. I don't know how much better this card is than the instant speed Tormenting Voice, or is it Thrill Possibility? The costs here are pretty high. Can't cast it without 2 cards in your hand you want to discard. But it's a card. I would say in standard it seems worse than Thrill Possibility, but it's a card. It's a card. Clash Titans. A good limited card. Not amazing, but pretty good limited card. Obviously, making 2 of your opponent's creatures fight is very, very good. We've seen this kind of effect before, but it's not always the easiest to use. Like, what do they have, a 5/5 and a 4/5? You know, it kills 1 thing. So even killing 1 thing in limited is pretty good, but this is definitely a pretty powerful limited card. But obviously not playable in constructed. Kind of a cool concept for a card too. You know, just 2 big boom booms going at it. Cloud Piercer, our first mutate card here. 5 mana for a 5/4 reach. I guess it is pretty tall, I guess. When it mutates, you may discard and then draw. So this is the kind of mutate card I'm not really super excited about. I've discussed mutate in the earlier colors. I'm not going to go too far into it, but mutating onto a creature is a cost. It basically means sacrifice the creature you're mutating onto, and that's a real cost. And then you put yourself in a spot where now you can get 2 for 1 by a kill spell. And if the mutate effect gains you a card in some way, okay, that's fair. Now we're really breaking even. If it doesn't gain you a card, I'm not really feeling great about it. Rummaging is definitely worse than looting. This is an okay limited card. Obviously, you can exchange your lands for spells later on, hopefully. Reach is a fine ability and limited. It's sized reasonably. I'm just not thrilled to put this onto a 2/2 and lose my 2/2 for card disadvantage. So this card it's an okay limited card. I'm not really super thrilled about it, but if the thing you're mutating onto has good abilities, it's fine. But this card is kind of asking you to get 2 for 1. Not really super thrilled about it. And yes, how is it going to reach the sky with those tiny arms? Dranith Stinger. Grizzly Bear. Whenever you cycle a card, it deals 1 damage each opponent. Definitely a very solid limited card. There's certainly a very heavy cycling theme in Boros, in red and white. And any card with cycling 1 deserves a second look regardless. Because it just cycles for 1. And the effect here is pretty good. We already get a bear, which is reasonable. And then this little chip shot damage can really add up. I like this card. It's not as good as the card in white that makes tokens, but definitely a very reasonable card. Constructed. Ever Quill Phoenix. 4 mana for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever this creature mutates, you make a red artifact token named Feather with 1 sacrifice feather. Turn 8 Phoenix card in your graveyard of the battlefield tapped. So this can get any Phoenix, not just this Phoenix, which is kind of cool. Kind of a weird card. Mutating it onto something will give it flying. And again, I think that all these mutate cards that are in the middle of sizing, like 3/3, 4/4, where it's not entirely clear which side you want to be, are a little weird. Because I don't want to mutate this onto a 3/3 or a 2/2. We're not really we're gaining something, but not a ton. This card feels like you're just going to cast it a lot as a 4/4 for 4, which I guess is okay. But we mutate again. We mutate onto our 2/2. It's gone. No more 2/2. So unless the abilities are really, really relevant, it's kind of eh. The fact that it does protect itself is pretty cool, though. So again, we're looking for ways to mitigate the card disadvantage that comes from having your mutated creature killed. This does that reasonably well. It's sure as hell no Rekindling Phoenix, but definitely a solid card. Obviously busted and limited. It's a 4/4 flyer over 4 is insane limited anyway. But not really super excited for constructed. It's fine. It's okay. Ferocious Tigerilla. Ferocious Tigerilla. 4 mana for a 4/3 comes into play with Trample or Menace. It's just limited filler. It's fine. Just an okay card. Obviously, the counters matter because there's a theme from keywords in each color where you get extra bonuses for Menace, things like that. But it's whatever. Fire Prophecy is awesome. This card is really, really cool. It's a 2 mana instant, deals 3 to a creature, and you can pseudo loot. You can put a card in your hand on the bottom of your library and then draw a card. So not as good as actual looting. If this card just looted, it'd be awesome. Sort of like a lightning axe to get cards in the graveyard. That's more reasonable to just cast. This card would be really, really good. As it stands, it's still a really solid card. In Limited especially, this is a phenomenal card in Limited. Being able to... Just being a kill spell is already a first pick. But the fact that this can loot away a land and draw a spell is awesome. And playable and constructed for sure. Definitely a little iffy because it can't kill everything. And it won't always be live against decks not playing small creatures. But definitely a playable card and constructed for sure. Definitely a playable card. Cool art too. The one who has seen the eye. Flame Spill. We get our super trample on spells or whatever. So, 3 mana instant, deals 4 to a creature, and then has trample. All the extra damage tramples over. This card is very cool, but I don't think it's good enough on rate for constructed. Because if your opponent's not playing creatures, it doesn't do anything. And dealing 4 for 3 is fine. It's not amazing, it's fine. This card probably needed to cost 2 mana and be a sorcery to be playable, to be like big time playable and constructed. It's, definitely worse than Searing Blaze and things like that. It's okay. It's definitely an okay card. I like the effect a lot. Giving spells trample is kind of cool. But not like the most exciting card. Definitely phenomenal and limited, obviously. Just a good kill spell, but cool card, but, it's fine. Footwork Crater. 1 mana aura, enchanted land. Enchanted land has target creature against trample and haste on a turn, and cycles for 1. A card like this usually isn't worth the effect. But this is a really, really cheap one. The problem is this also adds a kicker cost of 1 to your creature, because you got to tap the land too. So, not awesome in that regard. Giving all your spells kicker 1 haste is like fine. It's not great. It does give a devotion pip. It is an enchantment, but not really super excited about this one. Cycling is also fine, but cards like this usually just aren't very good. Trample's fine too, but yeah. Art's cool. Forbidden Friendship. Now this card's pretty cool. This makes a 1/1 red dinosaur token with haste and a 1/1 white human soldier token. So kind of like a dragon fodder, but one of the tokens has haste. And then one of the important things is that one of the themes in the set is having non-humans and humans working together. So, pretty cool card. It's part of a little story cycle. It's really cool. This card is definitely cool. Definitely cool. Solid limited card. Not out of the question. This card can see playing constructed. Dragon Fodder's been played in constructed before. Definitely a cool little card. Cool little card. A lot of synergy. It's a little weird. It's a spell. Like, it could just be a 1/1 red dinosaur with haste that made a token as a creature, but kind of cool. Kind of cool. Frenzy Raptors Reprint, just, limited filler. Not playable constructed. That is true. That's a dinosaur that dies to a squirrel. That is not me in the card, no. It's not my invitational card. It's not my invitational card. That's kind of look like me, though, but Frill Scale Mentor. Demand for a 3/2. Comes into play, but menace on it. So this card is great. I mean, all the mentors are insane and limited. Like I said, anything that scales up infinitely is very, very good limited, because if the game ever stalls, you can keep going bigger. This card is just good. Just a good body. Most of the mentors are a lot smaller. Frill Scare. I can't talk. A 3/2 is definitely fine for 3. Puts a menace counter and pump stuff. This card's really, really good. It's a really good limited card. Not constructed, but very good limited card. Go for Blood. 2 mana. Target creature you control. Fights target creature you don't control. And cycling 1. Very good limited card. Giving an effect like this, cycling is phenomenal, because this effect can be bad if you're behind. So being able to cycle for 1 is a pretty big game. Also, red-white has a pretty strong cycling theme, so this card seems great. Seems very, very good. Very good limited card. Heightened Reflexes. 1 mana instant. Give a creature +1/+0 at the end of turn, and put a first strike counter on it. This card I like a lot. Now, I was saying earlier that cards like Aspect of Manticore, cards like Indomitable Will, pump spells or tricks that leave behind a better creature than was there before are very powerful. And First Strike's a great ability, and this costs 1s. I love this trick. So I have a 3/3, I attack, you block with your 4/4, I trick it, and now I have a 3/3 First Striker. That's awesome. I think this is a really, really good trick. Again, the difference between a 1 mana trick and a 2 mana trick is astronomical. 1 mana tricks are awesome. Love this card. Love it. Not for constructed, but cool limited card. Lava Serpent, 5/5 haste for 6 with cycling. Just your limited filler. You need a top end. This card's fine. Honestly, nah, there's too many good cyclers now. Like, a card like this could see play in Living End. This haste is so important, but probably not. Okay, here we go. Luca Coppercoat Outcast. Our first Planeswalker of the set review. Luca's interesting. 5 mana Planeswalker, 5 loyalty. So, pretty beefy to start. +1 says, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards, exile this way, gain. You may cast this card from exile as long as you control Luca. So, sort of like a super light up stage where 3 cards in exile, only for creatures, and then as long as you have Luca in play, you can play them. So, has the potential to draw a lot of cards, but obviously, you know, getting half your deck to be creatures is tough, so it's not going to have that many creatures, obviously. It's a little high variance. And if Luca dies, you get nothing. But not a bad first effect. The -2 is where things get weird. A lot of words. Let me read. Here we go. Exile target creature you control. Then reveal creatures from your top of your library. So you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is a pretty powerful like polymorph style effect. If you're playing older formats, you can get Emrakul. If you're playing standard, you can get like the Raise Boar, probably the best creature. And say your creatures cap out at 3 mana, so you have all 1s, 2s, and 3s. Sack a 3, you'll get your 15. It makes it kind of like a weird combo-y card. That's probably the effect this card is going to see the most play for, realistically. It's certainly awkward because, like, the first ability says play a lot of creatures. This ability says, you know, scale your costs and get to 1 big creature. It's an interesting card. It's probably going to be pretty narrow in its uses. Mostly for kind of polymorphing stuff, but kind of weird. For 5 mana planeswalker, it's a weird one. It requires other things to happen to be good, which is kind of eh. And the ultimate is each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So gets there reasonably quick, but kind of a win more ability. So I'm not super hot on Luca, except for in polymorph stuff. So probably more of a like a modern pioneer kind of card than a standard card. I don't know. It kind of sucks that like this is mostly just going to be a tool to get Emrakul in play, which is like, you know, fine, but I don't know. It's all right. Momentum Rumbler. It's a hill giant. 4 mana for a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, if it doesn't have first strike, put a first strike counter on it. Then whenever it attacks, if it has first strike, it gains double strike. Very, very solid limited card. A 3/3 first strike for 4 is already pretty reasonable. And then giving it double strike is pretty insane. So, very, very solid card. And then excellent card to mutate onto. Go for that big, huge double strike swing. It's definitely a pretty solid card, limited. The red Mythos. Mythos of Valdrock. 4 mana, red 2, sorcery. Deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. So already fine, not amazing for 4 mana, but fine. You know, definitely can be a pretty powerful effect. And if a blue-white was spent to cast it, until your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block and can't be activated. So pretty powerful card. We can kill we kill a 2/2 and a 1/1, and we hit 2 planeswalkers and they can't be used next turn. It's pretty cool. I'm not sure what deck wants this, because like it feels kind of like a control card, but so I can kill some small creatures. But like we're probably already good at that, playing like Deafening Clarion or Wrath or whatever, Storm's Wrath, etc., etc. The fact that I can kill planeswalkers is kind of nice, but like 5 is not really that much damage. I don't know, just like an okay card. It's not super exciting. Do think that the can't attack or block or activate abilities part card is reasonable, but I'm not sure what Jessica deck wants this. As a mono red card, it could be a sideboard card like mono red mirrors for sure, but it's kind of like a weird card. I don't know. Just kind of It's just fine. Porcupine. 4 mana for our 3/4, which is fine. Tap to deal X damage to any target, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. So again, an all your eggs in one basket kind of mutate card. I just don't like the idea of piling 5 creatures on top of each other and getting blown out. This card's fine in limited. Just not about it though. Just not about it. Yeah. Dealing 5 to planeswalkers is not even good enough. Alright, so Prickly Marmoset. 2/3 first striker for 3. Whenever you cycle, gets +2/+0. This is a fantastic limited card. This is like a tier 1 limited common for the Boros cycle deck. This card's insane. Almost impossible to block. This card's a house. This card's an actual house. And the cycling costs are so cheap, it's not hard to be like with this thing. So, insanely good limited card. Really, really good. Piceratops. Got all the puns. We've seen this card before in multiple different things. This is just good. If you're playing like a spells deck, this card's reasonable. Upfront cost, not really great. Don't know if like blue-red spells even like really like a theme in this set, but if it is, you want this card. If you don't have the synergy cards, you don't want it. Simple as that. Raking Claws. 2 mana, target against double strike limit end of turn, and then cycling. So it's not quite Team or Battle Rage. Doesn't give trample, but cycling is obviously pretty good. This card's okay. It's good to tack onto a trampler, but it's fine. Not really super huge on it. Cycling makes it reasonable, but whatever. Reptilian Reflection. 3 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Reptilian Reflection become a 5/4 dinosaur with trample and haste. This card is pretty solid. This card is effectively a 5/4 for 3 or a 5/4 haste for 4 if you're packing tons of cycling heat. And that's pretty good, honestly. Plays around master removal spells. Definitely a cool card. Needs specific scenario to be good. This card could see constructed playability, I think. The rate is definitely there, and it plays well with Wrath of Gods and Deafening Clarion and things like that. I like this card. Definitely sweet. Good and limited if you're in the Boros deck and you have the cyclers for it. Rooting Moloch. 5 mana for a 4/4. When it comes into play, exile a card with cycling from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. This card is awesome. Not in Constructed, but in Limited, this card's phenomenal. Even if you're just casting a bear or something like that from your graveyard, a 4/4 that comes into play and draws you a spell is phenomenal. Really, really good card. Really, really good card. Very good limited card. Excellent card. Rumbling Rock Slide. Sorcery. 4 mana, deals damage equal to a creature, number of lands you control. Just fine, limited kill spell. Scales well as the game goes on, which is fine. Just a solid limited kill spell. Nothing really too crazy. Just fine. Sanctuary Smasher is a 6 mana, 6/4 first strike, which is kind of a boom, honestly. That's a house. That's a big creature. And we can cycle it to give a creature a first strike counter. Also a very good ability, too. First strike's a really good combat ability and can easily win a combat, giving you a 2-for-1. And then I think just casting this card, this is like the most castable version of these card I've seen so far. A 6/4 first strike is a freaking monster in Limited. This card seems very, very good on both sides. Very, very good. Shred Sails. 2 mana to shatter or deal 4 to a flyer and cycling. Again, limited kind of like fillery card, not amazing. Probably constructed playable in extreme circumstances, but just whatever. I don't think your limited deck's gonna have trouble finding cyclers, so I don't think that fringe cyclers like this are super nice, but if it hits, it will hit pretty well, killing a flyer, so it's okay. It's not whatever. Spell Eater Wolverine, a 3/2 for 3. It has double strike as long as there are 3 or more instant or sorcery cards in graveyard. This card is a real deal. This is a pretty easy double striker, even in constructed, honestly. A 3/2 double strike for 3 is certainly reasonable if you can pump it and kill your opponent. This card's powerful. Again, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of synergy for is it spells or whatever, but this card is quite powerful. Don't underestimate double strike. And it also, if you can mutate onto it, that's a big thing too. It's a thing. Tentative Connection. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature of menace, so 4 or 1, and it's a threaten. That's not bad, honestly. A 1 mana threaten is not the worst. This is kind of like your limited You know, you play against a big green deck, steal their thing. There were some sack outlets, but not as many as there were in Theros, so the whole, like, active treason, steal your stuff and sacrifice it thing is kind of This card's okay. It's a decent threatened variant. Don't know how many mana creatures you're going to have, but it's not the worst, not the worst. And if you missed any of this, it'll all be up on YouTube tonight, so don't worry about it, alright? Next up, Unpredictable Cyclone. 5-mana enchantment. If a oh god, take the reading glasses on. If a cycling ability of another non-land card would cause you to draw a card, instead, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a card that shares a card type with the cycled card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so first thought is, I can cycle a Street Wraith and get Emrakul. But what if you hit one of your other Street Wraiths? You know, so kind of a weird card where if you want to cheat with it and set it up so you are only getting the exact thing you want, you can only play like one of each. Like one cycling creature and one creature and so on and so forth. It's definitely interesting, kind of a fun random card. Not really sure what you'd want to do with this card, realistically. But it is kind of like cycling Cascade. I mean, you could just like put a bunch of ultimatums in your deck and just like cycle some spells and just try and go nuts, you know? The problem is when you cycle into your other cycler and stuff. But this is a card. I think I'll probably try and build her on this card for one of my decks for Wednesday. It's a pretty fun card, ultimatums and stuff. It's kind of Possibility Storm-esque. The tap out cost is pretty tough. You know, you tap 5 and do nothing. That's kind of a tough pill to swallow, but it's a cute, fun, crazy card. It's your typical red rando weirdo card for sure. Weaponize the monsters. This card is cool. 1 red enchantment, pay 2, sack creature, and shock something. It's kind of like a different Goblin Bombardment. This card's solid, honestly. If you're like an aristocrat-y, sacrificey deck, making a lot of tokens, this card's pretty good. It's cheap, very cheap to get in play, and shocks add up. So I think this card is much better in constructed than in limited, although red-white does have kind of like a go-wide theme a little bit, but this is also a possible, you know, outlet for your threatens. You threaten something and then cycle to this thing. Definitely a very powerful card. I like it. Very playable. Uh-oh, folks. It's time. Best in show. Yadaro, Wandering Monster. 7 mana for an 8/8 trample haste, which is pretty good stats. Cycling 2. When you cycle Yadaro, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you cycle the card named Yadaro 4 more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. This card just seems really good. Very low opportunity cost. We just cycle it. It's gone. There it is. Whatever. Draw a card. You know. If we have cycling synergies, even better. But even by itself, just like play a control deck, counter spell, kill some things, cycle this, counter spell, kill some things, cycle this, counter spell, draw some cards, kill things, cycle this, counter spell, cycle this. Oops, 8/8. Attack you. Haste is insane. Trample's insane. This card's really good. Like, I almost wish it was a little worse, because the opportunity cost feels so low. This card's really good. Just such a low opportunity cost. And, like, once you hit the clause, say you do it. You cycle for the 4th time, you put it in play and attack them, and they're like, eat to extinction, it's gone. Alright, whatever. The next one you draw is also a free 2-mana hasted 8/8, you know? And this card's just really, really good. There's certainly a cost
with putting like, 4 do nothing 2-mana draw cards in your deck. But the payoff here just seems phenomenal. You can cast it on their turn, basically. Make a surprise blocker. This card is just really, really good. Just really, really good for sure. So, super cool card, super powerful card, uncounterable, haste, trample. It hits all the buttons, If it didn't have haste, I'm less excited. Didn't have trample, I'm less excited. But the fact that it has all of that, it's just simply the fastest turtle ever. Speed turtle. Gotta go fast with the Adaro, Wandering Monster. Super sweet one. That's my best to show for red. We're doing a best to show for every color. And, whoo boy, it's a good one. That's it. Say the best for last in red. So, red's pretty cool. Adaro's really good. Some cool cycling things. Planeswalker's okay. But, definitely worse mutate abilities in red than other colors. Blue and black seem to have the best mutate abilities so far. But, ooh, that's true. That could be your win condition in Blue Moon. Because Blue Moon's been dying for a win condition for a long time. That's a reasonable one. So, that's it for red. If you're watching on YouTube, please take a second to like, comment, subscribe. If you missed any of this, it's a long review. It's going to be like 6 hours when we're all said and done. It's all going to be on YouTube tonight. So go, look at the playlist, watch them all, and check out all the colors. That's it. YouTube folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe.